Let me call the City of Richmond meeting to order, February 5th, 2020. Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look, I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. Our first item up is roll call. Councilor Pekulski.
Here.
Councilor Mathiasen.
Here.
Councilor Craven.
Here.
Myself, Mayor, here. Councilor Evans.
Here.
That would be everybody. At this time, we'll move on to our open public forum. Anybody not on the agenda for this evening wishing to address the council, this would be your time. Seeing nobody jumping, we're going to move on. Item 4 for this evening, approval of the agenda. I believe there's no additions.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as provided.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of meeting minutes from January 16th, 2020. It was our meeting and our workshop. They were in your packet. If anybody doesn't see anything, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda this evening. Item A is approval of bills paid from December 27th to January 29th. Item B is resolution 108-20, approval of December 2019 journal entries. Item C is resolution 109-20, authorizing Minnesota lawful gambling LG 220 exempt permit for Ricori Senior Center. And I believe that's at the old Coliseum. And item D is rescinding the resolution 184-19, approving grant application and construction of pickleball courts with Chain of Lake paddlers. And that item we will be addressing right after the consent agenda.
So does Pat Walls know about this recession?
Rescindation, yeah.
Okay.
Can make that motion.
I'm sorry, if I could just point out that resolution 109-20, you got a replacement before you when you came in because they swapped out the applications that they wanted to use.
The one that was in your packet was not the same as the
That.
one.
This one right here.
Yeah.
That was an
Legit.
LG 220 versus the one you got is for an LG 240B.
Okay. All right.
Replacement. Otherwise, I still make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Pat.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Old business, pickleball court. Who wants to take this? Are we doing it on our own? All right. Item 1 is a approval of grant application and construction of pickleball court and the Chain of Lake paddlers. It's a different form, but this form will suffice what the DNR needs to have them move forward. So we're changing out the original one that we had, that we just rescinded, and we're adding this one. I mean, it pretty much takes care of, it's the same thing, there's just a few little technicalities that they needed changed to make it work. Is that my right understanding, Dave?
That's how I understand it, yes.
The DNR provided one they wanted to use
Very
with
explicit
no
language, yes.
changes.
Yes.
And Tessa had built in some other things, which is why I prepared the 110A-20 as an agreement between the paddlers and the city to address those things that she was trying to protect the city of. So together, they meet what you passed before, satisfying the DNR and what Tessa was trying.
Okay.
Has the organization had equal or ample time to take a look at that application?
Yes.
Yes, we drafted it.
I'm saying, just gonna say.
I'd
you
just like to
drafted, didn't
make sure that you know what's going on as well as we do. Okay.
Any other questions on resolution 110-20 and 110-A-20?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. DNR grant application, the latest version. Is that part of this, or is it something that
That is the
That's
application,
the
the
application.
resolution becomes part of it.
That was.
Okay, and then engineer supplement letter agreement, Dave, you were, want to
Yeah.
explain that? a little
Yeah,
bit?
sure. So originally, this is an agreement that I had signed with the pickleballers to do the design for them, since I helped them with all the preliminary stuff. I was gonna do the design on their behalf, they had signed it, and then we realized that the community development agency that holds their money cannot pay me, so they need to pay a nonprofit like the city of Richmond. So similar like we do with the band shell, I'll be working for the city, and your agreement reimburses the city for my time. So, pretty straightforward, but any questions, that's why I'm here.
Understand or
I would like to see a motion on that we're agreeing to allow that way.
not? I'll make a motion to accept the engineer supplemental letter of agreement, so.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Question for the group, how's fundraising going?
It's going well. We have raised with in-kind and cash donations about $117,000, which is what we currently have in the grant. However, we have more stuff kind of working, and the grant isn't due until March. So that those numbers may go up some, and we may be able to request more. One thing of note for you is that the DNR requires that we bring the entire park up to ADA accessibility requirements. So we are writing that into the grant, and if we get the grant, we will then have access, cement walkway to all of the ballparks, to all of the exercise equipment, seating around all of the ballparks, and so forth. So that's all been written into the grant at the cost of about $40,000 to do that. If we do not get the grant and we continue to do fundraising, we won't put that in because it's a lot of money to do. But the grant will help us pay for this. We can include it in the grant. That's part of their requirement. So the park in the end, if we get the grant, will be ADA accessible.
Does it have to be concrete?
Does not have to be concrete.
Okay.
We're thinking that's the best route to go at this point.
I'm just asking because if there's an alternative, you know, obviously,
Yep.
the path around the park is tar. So if we're gonna tie into that, obviously, that would probably cut some of your costs back a little bit if you were getting, you know, close. Obviously, longevity, you know, in comparison, I understand all that.
Right. Yeah, and the look of the park, you know, we have a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of concrete already. And we, in the design of it, we're trying to minimize the use of the green space. So we're coming directly off the trail to access the exercise equipment, to access the ballparks and not across the park.
Because I believe when that was built, that was all ADA at that time.
The restrooms and all of that are just fine.
Even some of the
access-
walkways, you know, I don't know, but.
We just don't have access to all of the equipment that's there, and we don't have access to the fields, and we don't have seating for wheelchairs and so forth, so.
The accessibility rules have changed in the last 10, 15 years to create more access to handicapped people. So it will be, when it's all said and done, it'll be an incredible upgrade to Centennial Park by having basically anything anybody wants, they'll be able to get to by an impervious path. Yes.
And like I said, I've seen that, how it broke down per item to whether it's the ballparks or the utilities, but not gonna affect anything with the soccer fields. Is that gonna go on the
We'll just
north
push
side? Is that
the-
gonna go on the north side, pretty much going to the other
south
ball
side.
field? On the south side of it?
On the
Okay.
south side, yes.
Okay.
They weren't using full soccer size field anyway, so it didn't make a difference anymore, so.
Okay.
We'll run that east-west on the south side of the east ball field. The soccer playing area will be over there.
Okay.
If everything goes as planned, you have any ballpark idea when you'd like to break ground?
Fall of 2020.
Okay.
We're hoping to hear from the DNR by July.
Okay.
If we get confirmation that that money is there, we can break ground.
All right. Okay, good.
Cross your fingers. And that's fully matched
Yes.
arrangement.
Yes.
Any other questions about pickleball courts?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to our next item, Advocates for Health, AEDs.
Good evening. We have some handouts for you. Last time we were here just to inform you kind of what we were doing. And today we're kind of here to tell you what we did. The order that we have here is the first part. I'm not going to read through all this stuff, but it just gives you some information as to what an AED is and what Advocates for Health being a nonprofit and why we set it up that way to have done in terms of working. If you recall, what happened was a group of individuals, a couple of them are with us this evening. You guys allowed us to do a committee in Cold Spring and Richmond, and they applied for a grant from Centricare, and you received 16 AEDs for free with a value of about $1,700 a piece, provided we get the fundraising and going out that way, okay? So, I think I'm going to do this in reverse order now that I'm looking at this a little bit. Wendy, where did we put the map at?
Second to the front. We're kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. This is a map of what basically currently has happened. As you can see that there are 5 red dots on the map. Those AEDs, our safe stations, have been paid for by donations, and there's plaques. Have any of you seen these up in town so far? You're all nodding your head, yeah? They're pretty cool, aren't they? Yeah, very neat. The two yellow dots are our concern because along with these 5 that you had, there's the other ones in Cold Spring that all the funding was raised for. The funding has not been raised yet for these 2 yellow ones. So what happens is we got a timeline in place where if we don't get the funding for that, the grant for those 2 free ADs are going to go away, because we got other people in line who have applied for all those, and if they don't get them, they'll have to pay $851 through another grant that's now available. So we're taking a look at that. What we're really looking for this evening is an option after. Now these are all in place. We've gone to all the cities that we've done this in, St. Joe, and we're in Cold Spring on, what was it, Monday night, 2 Mondays ago, and talked to them. It's this option 1 that we have here, and then the long 8.5 by 14 inch sheet. And basically what we're asking the city to do, if we hadn't asked for any financial contribution up till tonight, what happens is when we install a save station, just to remind you, it's got the built-in heater, it's got the built-in air for blowing when it's hot. It's wired to a cell technology, so there's a cell number assigned. When you open it up, it automatically calls 911. And we can program it to have some first neighbors to show up to help out until the first responders get there. And included in that monitoring with them as they go out is 2 years of this is all covered and taken care of. After year 3, it gets to be $360 a year per unit. And what we have in front of you is year 1, year 2, year 3, all the way out to year 10. And we're asking you to consider doing what the other cities are and take over the responsibility of that upkeep moving forward 2 years down the road, and then build it into your budget. So you don't have to, we're not asking for any money this year or next year. It'd be kind of like for the year after, because somebody's got to be responsible for that as it goes forward. And I believe you can see the advantage to the city. So far you've been very kind in working with us, but financially there hasn't been a commitment. But it gives you an idea what you would be agreeing to do there. Does that make sense? Okay. Option 2 on there would be having you guys also consider purchasing those other 2 save stations that haven't, monies haven't been raised for. That doesn't mean that somebody can't come walking into the city hall like the other areas and say, hey, I want to make a donation to this in honor of my spouse or whomever, and that way they can do that and it could go that way. Or Or they could, you could have whatever you want to, or you could just say we're going to budget it in, so then we've got this area covered. Based on the map, we've got some pretty good coverage. Okay? What they did in Cold Spring and Richmond was this install in your neighborhood AED thing, so you have a sheet of what the committee went out and did. You want to talk about this, because you did this a lot.
So we basically set up fundraising levels. If you sponsored so much money, it puts you in a certain bracket, and that bracket allowed you to be certain benefits. If it was a social media sponsorship, if you sponsored $1,000 or more, you ended up on the plaque. And we were able to divide and conquer. The one out in front of Casey's has several people on it because Casey's did not want it attached to their building, so we have to do a standalone station. So if you ever get there, it's right in the front of their building. You can see that there were several sponsors on that one. There's one outside here that was sponsored individually. So it was something to drive sponsorship levels, to see what you're going to get for your money, type of thing. So that's how we kind of came up with it.
The other handout in here is some information from the state of Minnesota that talks about heart-safe communities that we'd sure encourage you to, now that you have the save stations up, contact the state of Minnesota so that the city of Richmond could also be added to the list of heart-safe communities. Now, something else has happened. It hasn't been announced publicly, so since I guess this is broadcast, this is the kind of the public announcement for this. Geocom in St. Cloud installed at Stearns County last month, and it's operational. I was there the other week with Sheriff Soika. If you called in 911 right now and said we have someone out with cardiac arrest, the 911 operator is able to push a button, and on their screen will pop up every AED that they're aware of in Stearns County and the location. So they're able to tell the person on the other end of the line, there's an AED on the outside of City Hall, and it's outside, it's a save station, run over there and get it and bring it over there. We're dispatching 911 to get it out there and things. Chances are, in a lot of cases, a Good Samaritan is going to be there before the actual rescue squad will be there. So we're extremely excited that this is the first county that we're aware of. We work with Geocom's National. They haven't put it anywhere else. So we're looking to, I'm stealing a little bit of Sheriff Soika's thunder because he wants to do a kind of an announcement because it's Heart Month this month throughout the nation. So questions at this time of what we have in front of you. You can see if you
I believe, and I'm not 100% certain, Cold Spring did put their fire department on, so when an AED opens, all the cell phone numbers of the Cold Spring Fire Department are linked to that. So instead of running to the fire hall and then to the site, a neighbor can see that the AED was taken and go straight there if that's closer than the fire hall. I don't know if Richmond's done that or not yet. They have? Yep. Awesome.
We're in the process.
Okay. So each station has up to 120 phone numbers available. So you can do more than just the fire department. You can do your neighbors as well.
So in summary, you have the equipment up in 5 locations. It's operational. It's been funded pretty much by donations. We're asking you to consider doing the funding moving forward so they won't have to worry about that $360 per unit as it goes out 10 years and keeps going. There's some inflation built in there of where that's at. And then we're also asking you to really consider maybe saying, hey, we'll fund the other 2. Here's the city, and put that on. Otherwise, it can't go on forever that these are hanging out there that you guys have them because we got other people who are asking for them as well. What happened was KTSP did a news story on someone who's had a cardiac condition, and the national sales manager seen it because it went national, and it was his AED that they showed in the clip. He ended up calling us at Advocates for Health and said, hey, I love what you guys are doing, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you 50 AEDs for $850, so you don't have to pay the full pricing on it. So the new grant is for the next 50 AEDs that someone applies the save station and puts an AED, they pay $850 for the AED instead of $1,700 for it. So That's kind of the question that you have to say is, okay, are we willing to not fund that and risk losing the $1,700 or whatever? And then if they come, now if those get, depending on the time, get used up, then we don't know what's going to be there at that time. Any questions on that?
I just have one question. You realize that we budget once a year,
Okay.
okay? And going through something at an initial cost later on, would possibly have to look at the following year.
Okay.
So, with that said, unless there's some money fluff or whatever in the budget, which was I assured of earlier this year that there isn't, I'm not quite sure what we can do at this time without a discussion of what else we're gonna cut, you know. So, that's my question, is that you're aware that
I'm aware of that, and things we're trying to work with. I think the news is it's good news no matter what. If we're not asking you for budgeting for moving forward, that can be done for next year's budget, and actually it'd be even the year after that. But saying that we're going to take on that and commit to that, that's kind of what we're asking for tonight. The other thing is there might be some people that hear about this and say, hey, I've seen all those units up in Cold Spring. I've seen those units up in Richmond. And you know what? I want to help get those units, and I'm going to do that. So maybe within the next 30 days, I would say that, you know, if and then, of course, the committee's still asking for some help as well. But we'd probably have to say by the end of March, if in fact there aren't funds for there, and maybe you only get funds for one, we can't guarantee you that grant for the free one's going to be there. So you might get one of the two, and then we'd just have to take a look and see what's there. So it's good news all around, and I respect, you know, what you're doing, and we don't know what's going to happen.
What the city of Cold Spring did is they accepted to add this to their next budget proposal. As well, they only budget once a year, and then they would look at it at that time. So they have it in their budget to review for it would actually be fourth quarter 2021 is the first time funds would have to come out for monitoring expenses. So they know that it's on the dock to review type of thing. If they don't put it in the budget, at that time it's to be we have to cover that at that time. I don't know that the committee's going to be in function, in fourth quarter 2021, but if that's something we have to cover, we have to cover. But
yeah, there was no way known. We approached you guys at one of the last meetings. I think was it January? No, or was it December last year? There was no way of knowing what was going to happen, how this was going to go. When this committee started, they had some huge goals. They've met them all except for two. And if we got another 2 months to go, it might end up happening yet. So, but we have to be honest and say we can't keep those two free ones out there forever for you either for another year.
the other thing what we're looking for is a central location to monitor these. Who's going to check them in 5 years? Who's going to check them? Because every 5 years the AEDs do expire, the batteries expire. Can we put that task on the fire department? Can we put that on them as a training, type of thing in 5 years? Or when a pad goes, the AED device goes with the patient and it comes back and you need a pad, who are we going to contact for the pad? Who's going to be responsible for that? So we're kind of asking City Council to, because you oversee the fire department, we need something local, centralized to oversee some of the care of the units.
Yeah, I'm not going to be around forever.
All right, I would think that we'll put this on our February workshop and we'll discuss it a little more in depth about taking care of it, if we want to, what route we want to go with it. That give us a little more time to think about whatever and ask our questions.
I think that'd be a good time for conversation for all this as well.
I do have one question though. Does the this $381.60 this for the monitoring cost, does it have to come to City Council? Can that be a donation from somewhere?
Sure can.
That'd work. Thank you.
Yeah. In St. Joe where I live, I'm gonna, as long as it's on my house, the one that I put on there, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm just gonna, it's a cheap insurance policy for my wife.
Okay.
So, all right.
Do any of this posted on our website at all? If anybody wants to go up and, look at something in a donation part of this at all, just something that we can look at dumping onto our website.
The other thing on that website that you're doing, if I could just interject, and we always forget this, it's probably the most important part. There's training that comes with this too as part of the grant. So we have trainers, we've hired trainers who are gonna come in, and we need to coordinate some training that says, hey, this Saturday from such and such to such and such, we're gonna show people how to do CPR training and how to use the AEDs. So that's the other thing. So you've got 5 training sessions already because you have 5 of those up that we need to work with you guys on and go from there. So there's a lot of positives.
Hey, Wendy?
Yeah.
You're on there, thank you. From these last 2 and stuff too, has there been anybody approaching the local businesses at all pertaining to this?
The committees have basically approached, I can't say every business, a lot of businesses. I have approached even outside businesses. West Central Sanitation I approached personally. They give us a small donation of $100. So it goes into the slush fund to help pay for signage and stuff like that. I'm working on filling out a grant from Stearns Electric. That's due next week. So we may see a nice chunk of money from them from their Roundup project. But yeah, the more we can advertise, putting it on your website would be awesome, because we are almost tapped out of trying to.
And word of mouth around the city.
Yeah.
Obviously with an advertised meeting going on currently right now too.
Yep.
That's a good thing too, so if anybody's out there that would be looking at doing some type of personal donation towards it.
Correct.
By all means, we're more than happy to take that or look into that.
Yes, there's been some cities that people have personally sponsored them, so.
Absolutely. Okay.
The brewery in Cold Spring had a fundraiser they did. The brewery in Bad Habit Brewery in St. Joe actually named the beer. They created a beer called Save the Day. And they're taking monies for every one of those that are sold and giving it directly over to buy an AED in that town. So it can be an ongoing thing like that to be taken care of. So thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to department reports for the night. We'll start with the police department. Chief Bloom.
All right. Start off with a monthly report for December. In Richmond, there was 80 total incidents for the month. 3 medicals, 5 suspicious activities, 37 traffic stops with 8 citations, and in those traffic stops, we had 2 narcotics violations and then 35 miscellaneous calls for service. Was going to talk about save stations a little bit, but since the committee was here, I think I'll kind of skip over that and just reiterate just that Casey's was installed at the end of January and still fundraising for 2. So if anybody's interested, get a hold of the city, us, or any of the committees. So one thing we did have, it was probably a couple weeks ago where it got really cold, below 0. Then it warmed up to high 20s, low 30s overnight. We had a bunch of vehicle break-ins when it was nice for a day or 2. As of right now, we have 3 suspects. We've identified 2 of them. I'm still working on the 3rd, but I'm assuming once we track the other 2 down, we'll be able to get that or figure out who the 3rd one was. What it was is between midnight and about 5 a.m. They went through unlocked vehicles and grabbed what was easy. They went through vehicles that had a bunch of tools and stuff in the back. They left those there. They were grabbing change. They were grabbing debit cards, anything in the center console that they could make it, get out of there quick with. They were only checking unlocked vehicles. If vehicles were locked, they weren't touched. So just trying to advertise to people to lock your buildings, lock your outbuildings, lock your vehicles. Don't leave anything of value in the vehicle, and that type of thing. It's just they're going through and quickly grabbing it. It was actually a number, like probably half a dozen here, half a dozen in Cold Spring. I want to say Rockville, and it's going to be a couple of St. Cloud individuals, so it's not even people from around here. They're just traveling to different communities, grabbing what they can quick and moving on. With that, we're seeing an uptick in stolen vehicles traveling from Wilmer to St. Cloud and back and forth. We've recovered 2 in Cold Spring in the last month and a half, where they're just going from point A to point B, then they get a different vehicle to continue on. We actually, in the last 2 weeks, we had an individual work vehicle that was running on, there's a person in the back seat, windows were frosted up enough that the individual couldn't see into the vehicle. Ended up jumping in the driver's seat because he thought it was unoccupied and running. Started rummaging around. I don't know if they were going to leave the vehicle or not. Realized, and the guy in the back seat finally spoke up, kind of spooked him a little, and I got in the wrong vehicle and quick ran. So even if you're at the gas stations, that kind of stuff, lock your vehicles, don't leave them run, don't leave anything valuable, just try and protect yourself as much as you can. So that's all I really have for right now, unless you guys have questions for me. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Alexis.
Move on to the fire department report. Chief Coleman.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Sonny. Just going to go over a few things here. Calls for January. I ended up with 12 medical calls, 1 behavior health, and 2 gas leaks for a total of 15 calls. Training, last month we went through the 44 plan. It's the ongoing first responder refresher. Members refresh on blood sugars, stroke, administering glucagon, and epinephrine, the EpiPens. We also touched on airway placement with the King Airways and our new iGel Airways that we went to about a year ago. So all the members were comfortable at the end of the night with all that refreshing. Moving on to truck detail, there were no major issues reported. I actually went through and retrieved an inventory list of all radios, so it's easier for me to track them and know exactly who's got them, where they're at, the age and their condition that they're in. I'm also going to be doing inventory of the SCBA list along with the pager inventory as well. Moving on to pagers. This time I'm actually requesting the purchase of 5 new pagers. Looked into it. The older, outdated ones actually starting to break apart, fall apart, not work. We actually currently have 2 members that are without working pagers at this time. We do have the I'm responding, but that only pops up on your phone roughly about a minute, 2 minutes after the initial page. So with our response time, right around that 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that happens more. It's gonna up the response time on it. So yeah, with that said, I actually have the quote attached to the report just for you to glance at, questions, concerns, moving forward or not.
Jesse, do you know if is this part of your budget for your electronics and your budget what was added last year?
There is a line item on the budget. However, we still do have I do still have right around $5,500 in a donation fund, along with right around that $13,000 for equipment and pagers. So with that price list of being right around the $2,500, I just wanted to bring it up to you guys and let me know what I can do, whatever. So
Roughly how old are those 5 pagers? Ballpark.
ballpark 2010, I believe, is when we started replacing them.
Okay, roughly 10.
So
yeah. Alright.
Yep, and I don't necessarily want to replace all of them at once. Then another 10 years down the road, we end up with the same issue. So,
2010 is when you switched over to the 800 megahertz?
yes,
Any grant stuff available?
we're always looking at it. I know, again, that Stearns Electric grant. We're going to be filling that out here too before that expires out. Yep. So
What happened to the grant that was brought to us about a washer dryer?
that one, previous Chief Chuck was working on that. I am actually touching base with him as well. And I honestly, I have not heard any more since that. So. Any other questions this far? Concerns, comments? Okay. Moving on, FEMA grant. I will be meeting with our grant writer that wrote our last one for that FEMA grant. I'm actually meeting with him on Friday to get more details, cost, and exactly what it is. The items I'm looking at towards is replacing our pumper one along with the Lucas device, which is a automatic compression device for CPR. And then also other upcoming topics. In June,
Sadly, another one of our fire department members will be retiring after his 20 years of outstanding service to the community. With that said, we will have 2 openings available coming up in June to have us at full capacity at 25. With looking back at our records, we have an overall response time of 3 minutes 45 seconds. So with an average of 13 people per call, I would like to continue the service with a 25-member crew. So, other than that, in a nutshell, that's all I have for you. If there's any other questions, concerns,
Do we need to make a motion on replacement of the pagers, or is this just putting up some bids tonight for these?
I think, believe it, because the price is what it is, it has to have a motion to go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
So you were looking at 5 or 10? So
just 5. Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep, just 5. I know I had them, put that 10 in there as well, just for comparison. But again, I don't want to be stuck myself or the council at the time with another 10, 15 years down the road having to replace a whole bunch at once. So I'm trying to spread it out.
Increments.
Right. So.
Since I know that communications, normally there are grants out there, they could skip a few years. I would be in favor of 5 and keep looking and possibly finding a grant in the next year or 2.
Right.
They don't come around every year.
Correct.
But all of a sudden, something changes, some frequency changes, something changes. So with that, I make a motion to approve the purchase of 5 pagers, Minotaur 6s. Along with that, that's what you have now? Is that the
Yes. branding? Yep. The Motorola Minotaur 6 is what we have. I'm sorry. We actually had 4 of them replaced already about a year ago to the 6s. So majority of the department has a Minotaur 5s. So, and then there is a, it's like a new equipment program. They will pay like a discount of like $75 off per pager for a working pager. So we need one for backup. If one is broke, we need to send it in to get fixed. We need to give our member that one for replacement. So if there's 4 workable ones, I can actually get $75 per pager to come off of the cost of the new ones. So
My motion stays on the floor.
I'll second. No, who's second? Tim?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Jess.
thanks, Jules.
And Chief, thank you very much for the report.
Yes.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to people service. Craig?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Craig Stang here, People Service, and with me, I told you, I do not lie, we'll bring in the new operator with to the meeting to introduce you guys. It's Justin Kurtz. Justin will be full-time permanent in Richmond. He'll be running the facilities and that. He started full-time on Monday permanent, but he was helping for the last couple weeks because they worked nights, so he was able to do mornings and stuff. So he was able to kind of take the reins a little bit more than, but no, he's, I don't know how many years he got in the field?
Shy of 9.
Just shy of 9 years experience. He'll be working his way up to his A wastewater. A little ways to go, but it's not that far, a lot closer than I was, I guess, when I came here. But yeah, said I'd bring him. The other thing is, you got your council report there that I did for you guys. I don't think there's anything too earth-shattering. That sewer backup that we had the gentleman here about the last time, it was interesting because, we had the cutter that went through. It ended up in the manhole. They pulled it all the way back, a 2-inch cutter, and sewage never went down. I think it was the day after the meeting or 2 days after when we had the guy out there. He had a small jetter is what it was, and he went through the city line first. There was still a backup. He was able to go right through the city line. It was perfectly clean. Then we were able to put it into his outside clean out and sent it down at about 60 feet. felt that he hit something. Then he went to about 75 feet. And once he knew he hit something at about 60 feet. At about 75 is where it drops into the city line. And as soon as he like pushed whatever it was, all of a sudden everything went down in his basement and the problem was gone. Why the 2-inch cutter wouldn't have taken care of the problem, I've never seen that before, but I'm thinking there might have been like a mat of roots that kind of lifted up and kept dropping down, you know, because if they grew from the top and grease and everything, I don't know. I'm fishing for answers, but so it was the resident's problem, unfortunately for him, but it's city line was clear, but we all learned something there. The other thing that I said in the report that I'd mention on, at the last meeting I was here and talking about our computer upgrade that's going to be needed at the wastewater plant. I had a quote, and I don't even have the quote with me. I don't remember the exact numbers, but you guys said, yeah, we should probably go for multiple quotes. I'm running into some roadblocks with that because I can get more quotes, but nothing's going to be apples to apples. It's going to be, everybody wants to do it their own way, their own specialty kind of thing, put their own spin on it. And it's very difficult. And the only true way to get apples to apples is if we'd get an engineer involved, write the specs. Now we just doubled the price. My other plan, what I was going to do is actually the first week of March, we have our St. Cloud Big Water Festival thing. We have a big vendor display and everything. I was going to go around and talk to some of the vendors that just to see what might be out there yet, how different way of doing this, and try to get better quotes, to get more than one. But it's, because it's, do we need an engineer? Probably not. This is something, we can tell them what we need, and that's what these guys do is design this stuff, and the engineers just make sure it's all apples to apples per se. I wouldn't feel comfortable trying to write up specs for it because you miss something.
The one thing for your dollar amount, we do need a second bid for the auditors, no matter what.
What's that?
For the amount of money we're spending on that, if we go forward with it, for the auditors, we're gonna need a second bid.
Technically, no, I don't think so. Sonny had them the last time, or was that 2 meetings ago? When he had
Any project of that size, they still want one, even if the state don't require it, but the auditors do, because then we're showing our due diligence that we're trying to look for other vendors, not just going with the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if it isn't apples to apples, we still should have a second quote, so that at least we can say we looked at something other than just one design.
Yeah, one of the emails I got, and I still have it actually, was I don't remember what exactly their price was, and he said in the guy's response, when he showed, because I didn't have the price or anything on there, and showed him, he said, this is a $30,000 to $40,000 project, and that's what this guy said the pricing would be. He didn't put it on his own bid sheet or anything, but that's just in the email. He said it's 30 to 40, and I think this one was 12 or something like that. I don't remember what the numbers were exactly. But I'll do a little more dig and try to come up with something.
The thing is, even if we get want to go with this lower bid, that's fine. It's still nice to have the other bid and say, okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I like competitive bidding. We should keeps everybody true and honest.
Anybody else have any questions for Rick?
No, and definitely be nice to look at different modes of thinking with 2 different bids or even 3.
Just a quick question for you guys, maybe more Tessa, but you guys have been here. Do you know, one of the things other cities I work with, they have like a liaison for water, wastewater. One council member's water, wastewater, one might be fire, one might be police. Do you guys have any of that here? So then, like, if we have questions, like I could have brought this bidding stuff up to just went and talked to Mike or whoever the liaison would have been to explain to them. It's handier as a department head to, just one council member, hey, this is what we got going on. This is, you want to come look at it, and then they can kind of report to the council kind of thing. Just something to think about. Just liaisons. It's I don't know. Kevin would think it's other cities have it, and it's works fairly effectively.
Justin, your last name is Kurtz?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome on board.
Do you have anything to say?
I'm good at this moment.
Man, a few words.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Move on to Parks and Arena. Mr. Mooney.
Evening, Council, Mayor, Sonny, everybody at home. How are we doing tonight? All right. Start off with the arena. Things are going pretty well down there. We're 7 days a week and hopping along pretty good. The girls' high school season will be coming to an end here within the next couple weeks. I wanted to talk about that team because they have a home playoff game tomorrow night in our building, and my report says they should be the number 2 seed. They actually wound up with the number 3 seed. So we're hosting the first round of the playoffs, and then after that, basically they'll go on to higher seeds to play, and they have a really good opportunity. 3 seed, 3rd seed. Had a really nice opportunity to go to the state tournament. They just need to turn some things on here at the end and have a good run, and that would be really exciting for everybody in the hockey community around here. We basically have 3 more busy weekends of hockey at the arena, tournaments and playoffs coming up for the youth hockey as well here in February. And then this weekend right now, starting Friday, we have our annual Mite Jamboree, which is a really big event. It brings a lot of people into town, and we maximize our locker room capacity this weekend. Without a doubt, we'll have associations sharing locker rooms because we have 4 teams on the ice at once. So that means there's 8 teams in the building. We have 4 locker rooms, so it gets a little tight, but that's okay. We've learned how to deal with it over time. Figure skating show will be coming up in the first weekend of March. That's March 6th and 7th. If people want to go to the River Lakes annual figure skating show, they can go to our website and look at our calendar for dates, and also look at the digital board out front. That's all out there. It's always a good event for our building. As it stands right now, all of our tenants are going. They're going to start winding down here. St. John's is playing their intramural league, and so that makes everybody in play right now. We did have some issues with the Zamboni. Our cooling fan went out on us. That's never a good thing. So we did some emergency run over to Wisconsin and got a used one out of the boneyard over there at R&R Specialties on a Friday afternoon, and rushed back to Richmond. Got it installed. We didn't lose any time, and in the meantime, we had ordered a new cooling fan, and that's now been installed. The other stuff has been sent back to Somerset, and we're in good shape. So that's all doing really well. Our little leak right now, the building is operating very well, and staff is doing really well. Kind of, we're in the February groove right now where everybody's, pulling a lot of weight right now. So, participation of the Sunday night open skates have been, I don't want to say unusually well attended, but it just seems like there's a lot of people there. It looks to me like that's kind of the thing to do on Sunday nights in the Ricori community is go to open skate. So, if that's the case, we'll welcome them to Richmond on Sunday nights.
Give us a number, Kevin. Talking 50 people.
Yeah, somewhere in that 60 to 70 people range for an open skate. 70 people on a sheet of ice is pretty packed. So there's one event that I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of. That on March 3rd is the presidential primary, and that will be held at the lobby of the arena. So make sure everybody knows about that event. And that's kind of a tricky event for us because it's right in the middle of our figure skating show week. So it's going to create a little, not for the public obviously, but for us, we have to separate the figure skaters who are out on the ice from the people voting. But we do pretty good at that. So again, that's March 3rd, the presidential primary, down at the arena lobby. Outside ice is doing pretty good. A little shaky on Sunday, but she came back, and we got her rocking again. And again, we'll just keep maintaining that. The normal hours are on the digital board out there, and we get out there once. We get out there once a day with the Zamboni, and a by 3 o'clock. The ice is beautiful. So when kids get done with school, ice is full of kids playing hockey and skating. Just so everybody's aware, if it is minus 10, we close the facility down. And we do not resurface the ice if it's below 0. That's just tough on the machine, the augers, and everything else. We're going to start working on some summer music in the park concert stuff. We'll get our committee here together around the end of February, and we'll start identifying some groups and bring them before council to talk about summer music. I think Tammy and I had an idea of a little fundraiser maybe for an AED that we could do out there. So that'd be kind of fun. You talk to the pickleball people. I have that in here. We'll pass that up. I'll pass it on. If you really want a grasp of what is happening with that, go through your DNR grant application. It's listed in there really well what we're talking about out there, and costs and full design. And then once Dave has an opportunity to put together the big map of where all the new sidewalks are going to go, all the new pathways, you'll really get an idea. Ricori Trail. We had some exciting news about a month ago with the Ricori Trail. We made the governor's bonding bill request, which is we weren't sure on that one. We knew we were pretty close last year. That's going to take care of that gap that we were talking about. There's about a $300,000 gap between the LCCMR money, the federal TAP money, and then there's a gap in there. We were kind of hoping we didn't have to cover that gap. Well, it looks like maybe the state's bonding request will do that for us, so that's a good thing. If everything falls through, comes together, we should be looking at, we could be looking at construction in the fall of 2020 to connect the 3 communities, just the way we envisioned 16 years ago. So we'll see how that goes. Richmond right now is the chair and administrator for the board. Our meeting is tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock over in Rockville. We have some things we have to talk about. And that's all I have. Any questions from council? Mayor?
Real quick here.
Yes.
We have a couple of no parking signs up. How's it been going? Have people been
I haven't noticed
paying
anything.
attention to that at all or anything?
Yeah,
Parking in those areas, or how are we doing with that? Those are fairly small signs. They're. I mean, granted they had to put them into the snowbanks, but they seem to be pretty small, and they're not 100% visible and stuff too. But I just want to make sure that people are.
They're pretty temporary until we can get something in there. That's
pretty much aware.
Yeah.
We're going to have a really busy weekend this weekend.
I know.
So hopefully, chances are either somebody can, maybe monitor that. Maybe either you guys or our police department at that time. To make sure that nothing, especially with the amount of people that are going to be in here, that nothing happens or nothing occurs walking, from the parking lots.
We can watch it if we're able to. I mean, there's enough stuff going on. We're not going to be walking streets. And next year we can get something in, or Gordy can get something in that's permanent as a snow emergency, no parking issue. Yeah.
We haven't really decided what we're going to do there.
Yeah, we haven't 100% yet. Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
But I also drove by there and noticed that some people were abiding by it. But I believe the council decided on a whole block now, and it was only half that was signed. It was only up to the driveway.
Up to the crosswalk, doesn't
It was from the driveway to the trail that was done.
Right.
And the last, let's just say 100 some feet was not done, so we suggest doing it all.
Okay.
Totally. At least for this winter until we figure out what we're going to do.
Okay.
So maybe you can put that in somebody's ear to put a couple more out in front of the post office.
I can talk to Gordy about that.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
The motion was from the entrance to the post office down to the trail, with the assumption that people would go up to the crosswalk if they were on the north side of that entry.
Good. I think let's get that taken care of. That's like homes or something down in there. Yep.
I think we should explore the possibility of getting some nice bright lighting there by the trail, and once we get out of this crazy season and get into the spring, we can look into exploring that and just see what the cost is on that stuff.
Like Matt said, we did it as a temporary fix until spring so that we could have a nice chance of looking at it.
We have had an opportunity to get in there and go curb to curb. So we've pushed up. We pulled out a lot of snow off of that area about a week ago.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Public Works and Streets, you have a packet on your dais of everything that Corey has done in the last month. And he was given direction that we had given him at our workshop that he'll be putting more salt sand and more sand down on the icy roads and trying to keep more blading done, whatever he can, to try to eliminate the ice.
Seems like even with the warmer weather that we have been having, it seems like they have made a good progress on that too. So I see some definite improvements and stuff too with them, so.
Richard just went over and told them what we had discussed as a group, that this is what we were expecting, and so far seemed like it's been working. So obviously Mother Nature has to cooperate too. So.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't have nothing for Public Works. Moving on to IMF Ministry. Do you have anything to add?
I just have a couple of things that I would mention. One, I know you want to know about this overtime and compensatory time thing. So I wanted to report that this last pay period, we were able to take that down a little bit rather than incur. So the balance right now cumulatively at the time and a half rate is $13.88 hours. So that he's mentioned that you have a meeting tomorrow, and you were named the spokesperson for.
I'll be acting chair, and Tim is co-chair.
So you'll speak to all the reporters that want to.
I'm trying to get in with. The reporter wants to do an interview. We can't seem to connect.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody from WJON.
There you go. Oh, and I had election training this morning, and I did make an overture for another fire, or a member of the fire department too, so just so you know.
Anybody have any questions for her? If not, we'll move on to EDA report for this evening.
That will be me. At our last EDA meeting, we continue to update our business subsidy application. We're making revisions to it to make it reader friendly for our businesses out there that maybe want to do something different with their business, open up a business. But our purpose is to make it not as intimidating to read and to make the city aware that there are incentives out there. So if you have anything that you want to do with your business or business related, call the City Hall, we'll help you out. The appraisal for the Pearl property was received, but the EDA will update progress on that on our next meeting. And lastly, we talked about the bike racks in the community. It's a project that we want to do to bring bike racks and promote health and all that. And we come up with some ideas. We went to some of the schools and asked them to give us some designs, but we're still looking for more designs. We have some designers out there with ideas, but we do encourage any artists out there or any ideas that can add some nostalgia to Richmond. Call us up. You can call the City Council, or you can email me at my City Council website. Our next meeting for EDA will be February 18th, 2020.
Just a question, I noticed that the Chamber of Commerce is throwing out some type of business meeting. Are you involved with that, folks, at all? Some business training or something?
Not that I know of. I haven't been invited to it. The other thing I do want to add to our EDA and stuff too is that at our next meeting on the 18th at 6:30 here at City Hall, we are having one of our original members is actually stepping down and retiring. So Mr. Sheldon Lang will be done as of the 18th. So that's going to leave a spot open for the EDA. So obviously, if somebody might be interested in filling that position, please stop up here at City Hall and stuff too. There'll be an application involved and everything too if you'd like to be involved with the city or join the EDA. So that's all I have to add. Thanks.
Any other questions for EDA? All right. Corey Trail, you guys have your meeting tomorrow morning in Rockville?
Yep.
Okay. Our next council meeting will be February 20th, 2020 at 6:30, and one of the items will be discussing the AEDs. And just a note is the office will be closed tomorrow morning for election training, right? For her. And it'll be closed on the 17th for President's Day. With that said, meeting's adjourned.